All right, Chris, it's that time of year again. Space Game Week is here. You know, that comes with all the extra hoopla and maybe even a little magic that we'll talk about here in just a minute. That's Chris Boyle. He's our UCF reporter. I'm Chris Vinel. We're joined by Joseph Duarte with the Houston Chronicle, who's going to give us kind of the Cougars side of things. But Chris, I'll start with you. Space Game, obviously that's the storyline of the week, but give us a little insight to just the past history and the magic within that week.
Yeah, it's unexplainable is what it really is. I mean, you think about the last 2 years alone where UCF has really struggled in Big 12 play. Last year they rode a 5-game losing streak into the Space Game. The year before they're hosting the 15th ranked team in the country, Oklahoma State, with the Doak Walker Award winner and a bottom 10 run defense in the country. Final scores of those games, 45-3 UCF, 56-12 UCF. And that's kind of been the story as it pertains to the Space Game history. They're 8-0. Their average margin of victory is 30.8 points per game. It's been nothing but blowouts, realistically, with a handful of exceptions. And I've asked the guys, is there a tangible quality? Do you guys get more fired up for it? It doesn't really feel that way, but I know the crowd definitely gets into it. And now, as Miles Montgomery said, earlier today, they treat that almost like a rivalry game. That's one game where on the schedule you could lose the others, but you better not lose that one. So I think there's going to be a lot of internal motivation to keep the streak alive. And not only that, but UCF realistically needs this game badly if they want to make a bowl game. They can't leave themselves needing to go on the road and beat either Texas Tech or BYU because their road record speaks for itself.
Joseph, same sort of thing here. What's kind of the buzz around Houston this week and just the program storyline of the week, would you say?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to make sure, have we decided what part of space everybody's claiming? Because I always think of that Armageddon movie. I think it was Owen Wilson. He said, we're in space, but we haven't reached outer space yet. So there's a lot of territory to I guess,
and I like the other schools. UCF and Houston makes a lot of sense. Houston being Space City, UCF's foundation based on the space program and Cape Canaveral and all the history that goes in there. But there's other schools that want in on this party. Purdue wants in because of their astronaut history, and I think the Naval Academy wants in on it too.
Well, Rice had Kennedy about the moon speech, so there's a lot. And Dana Holgerson kind of stirred the pot a few years ago when he said, "Look, they don't say Orlando, we have a problem. They say Houston, we have." So yeah, if you walk in the airport close to the campus, the smaller airport, there's a lot of space displays and stuff. So it's always fun to ask the players. We haven't talked to them this week, but just to ask about the who really is the Space U, or does it even matter? But to answer your question, it's a different week for Houston. They had been on a roll. And many thought a home game against West Virginia, they would take care of business and then set up to be 8-1, still in the conference race. And it just all fell apart. They're coming off the most disappointing loss. They lost to Texas Tech. Everybody has lost to Texas Tech pretty much this year. But to lose to West Virginia the way they did, a lot of turnovers, just never getting anything going. So the storyline is, how do they bounce back from that? Willie Fritz said they need to dust themselves off and basically flush it down the toilet and move on. And that's kind of where they're at. But talking about bowl games, they're 7-2 right now. They're in a bowl. So that's a big change from the previous 2 years where they didn't even come close to sniffing one. So on the bright side, there's that going into the final 3 games. So there's no pressure there. But this certainly is a big game for them, not just because it's on the road and it's a UCF. It's just they need to get the ship righted.
Who is one, offensive player and then one defensive player Knights fans should know on Houston before Friday?
On offense, it'd be easy to go with the quarterback, Connor Wegman. He was at Texas A&M, but I like the tight end, Tanner Koziel. He's a huge target. I believe he's 6'7", about 240-ish or so, and the guy just doesn't drop passes. I mean, he is about as sure hand as you can get. He's become a favorite target. He's kind of the move the chains kind of guy. Just they use him in a bunch of different ways. I like him. If I had to go with a 1A, 1B, Amari Thomas had 3 touchdowns in the last game receiving, has 7 or 8 for the year, I believe. So those two guys, are certainly guys to watch on the offense side. On defense, I like the interior D line, Carlos Allen. He's plays the nose position, not known for getting a lot of numbers at that, tackles, but he's racked them up this year. I believe he still leads all nose guards nationally, and the number of tackles with about 50 or so. So I'd go with him. And, if there's another guy there in the back, maybe like a Latrell McCutcheons, he plays corner, and he's been pretty good in terms of not allowing or giving up a lot big plays this year in the passing game.
Chris, who do you have your eyes on from a Knights standpoint this week?
Well, I think Taven Jackson's definitely got my eyes after a pretty disappointing outing at Baylor, and a game that, Scott Frost called an enigma, considering how they felt like they were mentally prepared. They were sharp. They were up for that game against Baylor in the hotel the night before, and it just never really showed at all. But at home this year, Jackson's been really strong. His numbers are completing about 68% of his passes, 213.6 passing yards per game, 5 passing touchdowns compared to just 1 interception, 3 rushing touchdowns as well. So we've seen the best of Taven Jackson at home, and he's going to have to play well in this game, I think, to give UCF a chance, just because we haven't really seen the run game show up this year, and it might not, period. Defensively, Malachi Lawrence has had back-to-back 2-sack games. I think him and Nigel Lee Kelly have been a problem all year for opposing offensive linemen in this league. So, obviously Houston's going to be predicated on running the football, and they are big in the quarterback run game with Wegman. But when he does drop back to throw it, they've got to be able to harass him and make him and force him potentially into some mistakes. And I think it starts with Lawrence and Kelly, who are 2 of the better edge rushers in this league.
UCF still looking for bowl eligibility, obviously, over the next couple of weeks. Chris, do they get one step closer this weekend? What's your score prediction?
This is one where it's weird, because your head should not kind of go to a place where you'd pick UCF 57-3, but that's what it feels like these games turn into for no apparent reason. I'm going to try to be a bit more pragmatic. I do think UCF is going to win the game. I'm until the space game magic wears off, I'm just going to believe it's a real thing. So I'm going to pick UCF to win the game, and I'm going to say they do it kind of gritty and in a lower scoring game than you might imagine. I'd say UCF 24, Houston 16.
Joseph, same thing. What are you looking for come Friday?
Well, I mean, number one, Houston has, last week they just let West Virginia run all over them, and that was a big deal. And also West Virginia started a young quarterback, true freshman, who had hardly any experience, or at least any starts. So they don't fare well against guys that are sort of first year or have that running capability. So that missed tackles were a huge problem for them in that game. And then they were -4 in turnover. They have 8 turnovers all year. 7 of them are in the 2 losses. So when they're clean, they're really clean and they're good. But when it's been bad, it's been really, really messy. So I would imagine that's a point of emphasis this week. I agree. I think it's going to be one of those just down in the trenches type game where I don't think either team runs away with it. I think before the year started and I did predictions, I had Houston winning maybe 28-20, somewhere around there. I think it's between a 3 and 6 point margin either way. I think Houston gets back on track because, like I said, when they've been good this year, they've been good. So going on the road, maybe they can conjure up some good memories from past trips to Orlando. I've been to Orlando a few times. I can't remember too many good moments that they've had there. Last time they were there, Dana Holgerson got fired the last day. So talking to some fans, that may qualify as a good moment, even in a loss. But I think it's a close game. And, I'm going to go Houston in that, 20, 27, 24, 27, 20 range.
So it's Friday night, 8 p.m. kick in the Bounce House, UCF versus Houston. Guys, I appreciate your insight. And before we sign off, Joseph, where can people find your work?
Just HoustonChronicle.com, and I'm on Twitter, Joseph_Duarte. That's Duarte. And looking forward to seeing the bounce house rocking. I was actually there for the first game ever in that stadium way back when the Longhorns came to town. They were coming off, I believe, the national championship year. It would have been 2006, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But that one went down to the fourth quarter, and there was a scare. So I've always enjoyed my trips to Orlando.
I don't mean to correct you, but I was there too. I was a freshman in the bleachers, so it was 2007 that happened.
Okay, 2 years behind, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was a very memorable game. That's where the nickname originates, because genuinely, having been standing in that section, I thought the building was going to fall down. Especially when Joe Burnett returned the kickoff for a touchdown. I remember thinking it was going to be a bad day.
All right, I was off a year, but I do remember O'Leary was the coach.
Yes.
So I got that right. So, but no, looking forward to it, guys, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Chris, where can people find you?
Find me at Chris Boyle DBNJ and at news-journalonline.com for all of our coverage.
These guys will have you all covered on Friday. Should be a good one. We'll see how it plays out.